Hello. I'm an English person. Therefore I'm smart. Just listen to my accent. That will tell you that I'm smart. I'm here to tell you about how great the English banking system is, and how it benefits everyone. It is known among other things as the fractional reserve banking system.
Gee whiz, lady. With that English accent and your hot glasses, I will listen to everything you have to say.
That is good. The fractional reserve banking system was first utilized by the British as far back as before the Revolutionary War. It is a system that allows a bank to loan more money than they actually have.
And this is a good thing. I do not understand hot English, lady.
It is not important for you to understand. In fact, it is best for everyone involved if as few people as possible understand fractional reserve banking. But since it is just you and I will tell you more.
Yes, tell me more. Hot English woman. Your hot accent is making my brain excited to learn.
I'm going to use big words now. And I can assume that you will not understand what I'm saying. You see, banks do not have to keep 100% of the money they say they have available at all times. We realized long ago that only 10% of the money is ever in demand at any one time. This means that over 90% of the money was just lying around doing nothing. So we decided to start loaning out your money to other people and charging interest on that money.
Gee whiz. That does not make any sense to me. If it is my money, why don't I get to keep the interest that people pay?
Because you are not a bank. We pay you the lowest amount possible to keep you from withdrawing your money from the bank, and we loan the money out to others at the highest possible interest rate we can, and we keep the difference.
I think I understand. I deposit my money in the bank. And so long as everyone does not come to the bank at one time, they would never know that you are for all practical purposes insolvent.
Do not use that word. For you are not intelligent enough to understand. In the old days, if too many people came to the bank wanting to withdraw all of their money, it would cause the bank to fail. But with the invention of the central bank, we no longer have these problems. If too many people come to one bank, the central bank will cover them with loans from their reserves. That way no one bank will be overrun by the ignorant masses trying to crash the banking system.
This is the first I have heard of this central bank. They must be a very popular and well-known bank. Where does this central bank get its money from and who owns it?
In the United States, this bank is known as the Federal Reserve Bank. As to who owns the Federal Reserve Bank, that is none of your bloody business. The Federal Reserve is so important that it operates outside of government, and it controls the entire money supply of the country. This job is so important that even in a democracy, they are not hamstrung by silly ideas of oversight and accountability.
Gee, hot English lady. This whole idea of central banking is starting to sound like a royal screw job for the average person.
Why do you hate the Jews?
What? I do not understand what that means.
Have you always been such an anti-Semite? When did you get your membership card to the John Birch Society?
John what? You are not making any sense to me, and I am now horribly embarrassed. I am going to stop asking questions now.
No, please keep listening to me. I was just showing you how we keep people from asking pesky questions about our banking system. It starts very early in everyone's life. We start by equating money and economics with boredom and being a freak. But on the off chance that someone actually digs into how the system works and tries to share the information with others, we pull out the anti-Semite card and we quickly lump them in with pro-communist wingnut groups so as to discredit them among their peers.
Wow, hot English lady. That is pretty fucked up. But it really did work. I was so embarrassed that I was ready to shut up and stop asking questions. But since you are answering my questions still, can you explain to me where the banks get their money? Since this central bank runs all of the money systems, this would tell me that it is not the US Treasury that makes the money. Tell me more.
You are not as stupid as you look. I took you for at best a hairless monkey capable of throwing urine feces at the cage window. You are proving to be a quick learner. You are correct that the US Treasury does not have anything to do with the money supply. The US Treasury is only capable of printing hard paper money in the coins that you use in the vending machines at your dull and unfulfilling job. This equates to less than 1% of what is known as the money supply. All the rest is created and controlled by the central bank.
But I thought you said earlier that all you did was take my deposits and make loans out against them using 9-to-1 leverage, keeping only 1 out of every $9 in your vaults to cover the off chance I come looking to cashing my entire account. And you said the Federal Reserve is there to help cover a bank in case there is a run on that bank and to keep it from going out of business. Now you are telling me that the Federal Reserve does a lot more. I must ask this question again. Where does the money they create come from?
The Federal Reserve and all central banks are given the ability to increase and decrease the money supply based on a very complex set of criteria.
So let me get this straight, hi English lady. There is a difference between the bank I use every Friday to cash my pathetic check as I check out the rack on the teller woman, and this central bank you keep talking about.
Correct? All banks are chartered under the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. They all report to the Federal Reserve Bank in their respective regions. As a central bank, we have the ability to create liquidity to increase economic activity, and when we feel that things are getting out of control, we use a wisdom and superior, almost godlike intelligence to decrease the money supply to keep growth in check.
So what the hell happened in 1929? My school books told me there was an economic depression. Why didn't you stop this horrible thing?
Because the Federal Reserve didn't have all the power necessary to stop this very bad thing. A new Federal Reserve chairman, the Ben Bernanke, studied this Great Depression at school, and now he knows how to stop them.
So why did my dad just lose his job and all of his friends? If what you are saying is that this Ben Bernanke knows how to stop the bad depressions, it would seem that the current economic problems wouldn't be happening.
Jew hater.
That will not work on me now. You just told me this is just a ploy to keep the hairless feces throwing monkeys from asking serious questions.
This is why we do not teach economics in school. Once you uppity plebes start learning about what we do, you start getting angry, and you will start silly movements to abolish the central bank. This is why we will contract the money supply shortly.
What do you mean by this term? Contracting the money supply. It does not sound very pleasant.
Indeed. It is not very pleasant. What this means is that when too many people start questioning the legitimacy of the central bank and too many people become aware of how the money system really works, we will contract the amount of money that is in circulation well past the point of what is normal. This will have the effect of choking off all economic activity and push the economy into another depression. This will render the chattering monkeys who stand against the Fed impotent, as the people will be so busy trying to feed their squawking babies that they will not care about silly notions of ending the Federal Reserve.
Holy shit, hi English lady. You are truly demented.
Bet on it.
So let me summarize what I have learned today. First, the local bank that I use to cash my check is completely different than what some people call the banking elite.
That is correct, young man.
All banks are chartered not by the U.S. Treasury Department but by an unaccountable and unelected body of people called the Federal Reserve.
That is also correct.
The Federal Reserve has the ability to increase and decrease the amount of money in circulation based not on needs of the people, but rather on the rather subjective belief of the current heads of the Federal Reserve banks as they meet in secret once every month or two. The people are not privy to any motivation, either altruistic or perverted, that these men use to come to their conclusions.
You are an astute student.
So to go back to your first words to me, you said that the English-born fractional reserve banking system in its current incarnation as the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank is a benefit to everyone. Yet everything you have told me seems to point towards an easily corruptible system that operates largely in the shadows with very little oversight. The power that it wields is literally the power of life and death over the citizens whom depend upon the economic systems that the central bank can either make or break on their decisions of whether there is enough or not enough money in the system. How can you make such an absurd comment?
I do not have to answer to you. I am a spokesperson for the banking elites. But seeing as that you are going to be suicided shortly after our conversation, I will give you an answer to your question. It is quite simple, really. It is a little thing we in the business world call a lie. I was bold-faced lying to you. Seeing as that not more than 1 in 500 people in your country even have the mental acumen to know what the Federal Reserve is, let alone understand its inner workings. It is beyond easy to just lie to your ugly, slack-jawed faces.
I am finding you less and less hot the more we talk English, lady. In fact, I am truly frightened not only by the enormous power that you and your friends wield over mine and everyone else's lives, but the complete lack of any sense of morality or common human decency. It is like you are not even fucking human and that you view all people outside of your elite circle of friends as commodities that can be used up and discarded with as much thought as tossing a Coke can in the garbage.
Absolutely correct, my boy. You are indeed an exceptional hairless monkey, and I wish we could continue our conversation. But there is a small single-engine plane waiting to take you home. And do not worry, as the sky is perfectly clear. And there is very little chance of you smashing into the side of a mountain. Have a jolly good day, my boy.
Fuck me.